Okay, I will call this Summit County Commissioners meeting to order for Thursday, August 5th. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioner Sure.
Bow our heads. Dear God, thank you for a great week at the fair. Thank you for bringing all the people to our county safely. We ask you to look upon us today as we discuss county business, and that you begin to reach out and touch the school kids and the schools and the parents that are starting to plan to get back to school. Again, thank you for bringing us all together. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please, Kylie.
Commissioner Kirschner,
I am here.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw.
Here.
So the time has come to accept a motion to approve the digital audio video recording of the previous session that was scheduled for and had on July 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Mrs. Wilson.
I have nothing today.
Okay. Commissioner reports. Mr. Paradiso. Commissioner.
A short report. It's a busy week. We have a lot of projects going on. Tonight's our EMS meeting, and we're looking forward to that. We've been working hard and preparing for this meeting. And it's a public meeting. It'll be tonight, 7 o'clock at NCOESC. I got that right, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And
Now, what's it stand for?
more to come. I conclude my report.
Our Central Ohio People Service Center.
That's good. Thank you.
All right.
Yes. Thank you, President Kirschner. We've got a downtown development, Main Street visit to Delaware next week. That's coming up. So I think Commissioner Paradiso and I will be heading off to that to kind of meet with their downtown committee and see what they have going on and see what ideas we can bring back home from that. Also, we had a family and children's first council meeting this morning. Well attended, had a full quorum, so that was good. Got some things approved through there. Last night we had a meeting up in Ottawa County with our OSS Solid Waste District, kind of a meet and greet. Got to, for the first time, got to meet in person here. Gary Beatty gave his report, and that was very well done. I'm looking forward to working with him and some of the things that he brings to the table. Also had a meeting with our Fostorian Tiffin Chamber this morning, still working on the tour here that'll be coming up in the next week and a half, so stay tuned for that. And then our next Seneca County sweep will be coming up August 10th, and that will be in Republic, Ohio. Goes from 1 to 4 o'clock. The last one we had in Green Springs, we had a good success with, so looking forward to going down to Republic here and helping them clean up a little bit and sweep it up. So that's all I have.
Okay. I went to most of those meetings as well. The only additional item that I have is what's called Investing in Ohio's Future. $250 million water and wastewater infrastructure grant that will be spread out amongst Ohio political subdivisions. Gail and I and the mayor and Matt and Mark and the engineer all met on Thursday to discuss priority projects. The city has a couple of projects that are priority. This funding can be used for either implementation of projects or planning for water or sewer, used for development or design or construction, kind of a combined use. Mark is the one making the application. Our engineer, he needs to submit those by the 27th of August. He'd certainly like to do that before then. But one of the main reasons I bring it up today for the commissioners is that this also applies to any of the villages or townships. So if anyone out there has a water or sewer project that they would like to apply for some grant funding for. Now's the time to do it. Again, it's $250 million, certainly a lot of money, but when you spread it amongst 88 counties, it won't be huge, but the more projects we can submit, the higher the likelihood that one of them will be approved. So we would encourage townships and villages, if they have any projects, to get those to Mark Zimmerman as soon as they can.
I do have one project. I spoke with Mark Zimmerman, county engineer, and he will be including an application for New Riggle sewers for the design of that sewer project. New Riggle has among the highest sewer rates in the area. They have higher unemployment than others, household income below average, so they would qualify, they would score fairly well, so we will be submitting an application there. We've been working on this for a while now, but that'll be for the design phase of that, so we'll see how that goes. But that's one I know of in the county.
Dale, you have anything to add to that?
No, I think the city will concentrate on trying to convert HSTS home septic treatment systems who are eligible to connect into our sewers and assist them in doing that as part of this grant process.
Good, thanks. All right, thank you. Just so that the villages are on notice and the townships are on notice of that, we want to make certain that we got any projects.
Mike, I got a quick question on that.
Yes.
Do you know, is that gonna be part of, tied in with the grant that's already available for like, houses in a rural area that doesn't have a system to tie into?
I don't believe, I think this is a totally separate.
Totally separate program.
grant, yeah.
I think so.
Is more
Yeah,
of a
for those two, you know, for planning and then also for construction.
construction of the system and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Sure. Okay, moving on. Do we have any old business to discuss?
Nope.
Okay, we'll go to new business.
Okay, let's see, I've got some supplemental appropriations. I have a request from Juvenile Probate Court. This is for their software license service agreement. It's a probate, it's a backup, pensions database backup, sorry. And they're splitting it between probate and juvenile, so they need $650 in the Special Projects Fund, the 1093, and Juvenile Court Special Projects Fund in the 1079. So a total of $1,300. And again, that software licensing is a new line that the auditor's office has implemented for 2020, 2021. Jeez. Next I have request from the Common Police 2 into the, I think this is their Special Projects Fund, $7,500 into their contract services line. And I have a request from the Sheriff's Office. See if I can find his, read that one first. So many. The Concealed Gun License Fund, the 1047. It's for $20,000 into equipment. And I have two for us. They are the two fairs that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, that the state has increased our required funding for both of the fairs. So I have $800 for the Attica Fair, and we did $400 for the Seneca County Fair. And then I have, these are not in any order that is very convenient to read. And I think the rest are, I'd asked the sheriff to come in. He had put a request in for a total of $97,000. Alexi?
Yeah, Lex.
She sent me a list of contracts yesterday. I have not had a chance to look at them. Just trying to review the difference in, what we put in for budgets compared to, what have we added in expenses, and just trying to understand, are these the long-term expenses, are these new contracts? Obviously, there's training contract repairs, uniforms, and travel and expenses. So it was quite a bit, so I asked the sheriff to come in. I didn't have a lot of time to look through the contracts, so,
Hey, can I have a question, what school can we have with the sheriff's request?
yeah, that one,
What-
did I miss all of them?
Attica,
You didn't do the handgun though, did you?
Yeah, I did the handgun.
So when we approved 3,500 for the Attica Fair, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, and then what's this?
This is just money that we didn't have appropriated. It
So
was
we
part of
normally do
that.
that, so this is the normal contribution.
Additional,
And
yes.
that was the
Yeah.
one-time
Yeah.
contribution. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep, we just had to appropriate the additional amount we were required.
And the Attica Fair opening is when?
Tuesday. I think it's
We'll be there.
9.
Yes, yes, we will, 9 o'clock. Yeah,
Yep, Tuesday the 10th at 9 o'clock.
okay. Perfect. So, what I would like to do at this point in time, we can have some discussion, is to have approval of everything but the $97,000, and then I think we need to discuss that with the sheriff. So if we can get a motion for that.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve supplemental appropriations presented, less the sheriff's request.
Okay. I would include the handgun in that because that's a reimbursable.
Yeah.
He gets revenue for that.
Right.
Yep. Yep. And that one was in there.
Second.
Second.
Any additional discussion about that motion? Hearing none.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Okay, Sheriff, why don't you talk to us about your request? I am hesitant to do anything, take any action today, because first time I got a chance to look at anything was this morning, actually. So it's difficult to understand what effect this might have on 22, and for me to get my arms around exactly, with the grant requests that we've got outstanding, will there be any of that grant that will help do any of this?
That's on the jail side. This is the roadside stuff that we talked about several months ago, less the personnel costs in here. So moving from a couple months ago to now, repairs had to be made, software licensing stuff, uniforms bought, services done. I still haven't received the training money, but I'm sending deputies to training, I'm sending jailers to training, and I got that money on the jail side, so that's helpful. But I don't have it on the roadside. So instead of keep having a table, I put in for the sub apps because these bills got to get paid. The repairs have to be paid, the licensing fees have to be paid, and these are all in additional to. I wasn't here for the 2021 budget process, and so last year's numbers obviously are not something that we should set for this year, because last year was a one-off, with all the decreases in the wage lines and in the overtime lines and the equipment purchased and repairs not done and stuff like that to save money, to see, you didn't know the future, you didn't know what was gonna happen this year. So from January 1st to now, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul out of the other lines and in these individual lines, and a lot of these have been close to zeroed out. But there's invoices coming in because I have to get stuff fixed, I have to, purchase uniforms, have to do equipment purchases, services that weren't budgeted for correctly, and/or wasn't budgeted at all because, they didn't put in stuff like the, replacement of stuff that's 20+ years old. I just got a quote from, and this is going to the jail side, yesterday for our washing machines that we've been repairing with duct tape and parts coming in, and they're 14 years old. So 2 commercial washing machines. This isn't in this quote here. I'm just saying, for example, stuff is breaking down and wasn't accounted for or wasn't prevented or thought about on a 5-year timeline or any type of strategic plan, and that's what I'm trying to do. to give you that insight on that stuff, but I'm hit almost daily with quotes and requests from my various departments within the jail and within on the roadside of, radars not being able to be calibrated anymore, so I'm down 2 of those. And those are several $1,000s a piece to replace. So that's part of the stuff in the equipment line here, or the services line. Repairs, we are at 37 or 38,000 in vehicle repairs 8 months in, and all of last year there was, I think, 34,000. So we're way ahead of where we were last year, and there's still 4 or 5 months left to go. The vehicles just, aren't being, personnel-wise, is why we have maintenance problems, is why we have high purchase and gas prices, because we're flying all over the county with 2 people, 3 people. When if we had more personnel, that would reduce. Everything is kind of like interconnected. So I'm feeling the 8 months in, feeling the need in these items as they break down, and there was lack of preventative maintenance on a lot of the things, but also in stuff that needed to be upgraded, needed to be purchased to move forward. And we've had a lot of Buckeye IT expenses, trying to get that all our technology up to where it should be. So these are the items I came a couple months ago, and I separated them from the personnel costs, because I understand that that's a different conversation, because those are long-term expenses. But a lot of this stuff that is being requested today is not residual. It's stuff that we had to do from the first of the year, and we use those lines that we're requesting the money in now for other purposes, and shifted money around. And now, the stuff that those lines were meant for, those stuff are coming due. Does that explain it a little bit for you?
I think so. Again, I'm gonna let the other 2 don't ask questions, but, I'm trying to understand, like the software licenses for $20,000, is that a one-time expense, or is that an ongoing expense?
No, that's gonna be an ongoing one. So we share RMS, which is Report Management System, and CAD, which is Computer Aided Dispatch. We're a multi-juris agency, Tiffin, Fostoria, and the Sheriff's Office. A couple years ago, they looked at going to a new software licensing, which was a cloud-based, and that's Soma. And it hasn't come to fruition, so it's going back to ProPhoenix, what we're currently on. ProPhoenix charges a maintenance fee every year. All of the companies do to maintain new patches. If you have issues, your server goes down or anything like that. So that is about $24,000 a year, but it wasn't paid this year. But what we did is we included, we started up In Time, which was our scheduling, which ate into that. And we had a couple other software licenses to bring up our technology there that ate into that. Well, that maintenance fee is coming due here in August, and we don't have it in the road side, nor do we have it on the jail side. The jail service package was purchased at the same time that the road service, RMS and CAD, was purchased in 2012. It just was never implemented. The reasons I got was it was too hard, it was gonna cause, a lot of work or whatever. So we've been paying that software license portion for the jail package for 8 years, 9 years, and it's never been implemented. So it's going to be implemented before the end of the year, but I have to pay the maintenance fee for them to put that into place. It will greatly improve our jail services software, because the current one that we're using is called Jammin', and it's like a 1989 product that hasn't been updated or upgraded. I checked into that, it's gonna cost $38,000 to upgrade that. But why would I pay that when I already am paying for, and the $24,000 includes the jail maintenance. So that's the $20,000 increase to be able to pay. I already have some money in there that will cover the rest of it. to pay our maintenance fee on the CAD. That should have been included in there to begin with, but it was under contractual services. But now that they've separated it out to the software licensing as a new line for 2021, that's where all our software stuff should be put in there, in-time scheduling, RMS stuff, leads, everything that we concurrently pay every year should be in that software licensing, so that we know an exact amount every year of what's coming out of that. Now, that increases a little bit each year, a percentage, but we know that in advance, so we know how much to budget for next year.
InTime was a new contract.
InTime was a new one, along with the sheriff's app and some other things that took money out of contractual services that wasn't budgeted for this year.
Right, so those probably should have been approved before we bought them.
Correct.
What did those cost in time and?
Those are also softwares that are recurring, so there's a one-time fee that we paid this year, and then there's a recurring software fee for the next.
So what's the price tag on those, do you know?
I think the in-time is per employee, so when we put all our employees together, that does that, I think it's around $8,000 a year for the software licensing on that. The sheriff's app is $5,000 a year, and that'll be rolled out here in about 2 weeks.
Questions, Tyler?
Yeah.
Well,
I've got a report I can bring up so you can kind of see
you
where,
have it right
where
here.
he's sitting at.
So what I have are, on 5/17/21 we met, and you brought in this
Mhm.
report, and then we met again in 6/15, we had and you brought this one in, and we approved what's highlighted. We
jail
did not approve. When I look at your list today, the same, what's on this list and what's on this list are just a couple things. So, travel was 5,
Yep,
training was 15.
yep.
And when you get, it gets messed up for me, when you say contract services and repairs, you know, it's a broad.
Yes.
So we're moving some stuff in and out of there that, when you first started talking, everything you said in my head as I'm processing it was one time. And then the later part of the conversation was reoccurring. Okay, and I think the biggest thing I want from Stacy, you're giving her, and I just want to try to understand is, to me, and I'm fairly new at this, okay, but we have to get on the same language and page and categories that we have for everything else as far as when we look at budgets. You know, we've got a $5 million grant over here. Well, that includes some of these things we talked about. But then again, you did some things you had to do, carpet, you know, there were some things. So that's one time, but that's not part of the grant. Then we do stuff in the back with the jail. If we don't get the grant, then I would assume we still have, you still have some needs.
Yes.
That basically.
Yeah, mechanical needs, equipment needs.
Yeah, and so we're gonna have to pay that out of something, right?
Right.
That won't, because if the grant hits, that's 3.75 million of money we're gonna get that we don't have to pay that.
Correct.
So I'm actually not against a few of these things, a few one-time things, maybe a little, but I don't know what that is this second. It's already August. I mean, so if there's some things that you just absolutely, positively gotta get paid or you gotta have, I think I would appreciate if you just tell Stacy, maybe we talk about it now, I don't care. That would be one thing. But Sheriff, I wanna I think we're 2 months away probably, right, Stacy, from having our budget spread out, everything categorized, so we can really see the impact. There's a lot of moving parts with everything we've done together for 7 months.
Right.
Okay, I don't regret anything we've done. I want to stop and put it in the right categories so we can understand it for next year, right? And then address some of these other things. In contract services and repairs, you can stuff a lot of things in there.
Yeah.
which you've done, and that's okay, but I just want to understand, I want to back it out and understand what it is. That's just my comment.
Yeah, a lot of it is, you know, one-time fixes that are
Yeah.
in those contract services, you know, pipes bursting, air handler, the air humidity, you know, stuff like that that's happening in the jail or on the roadside. Those are JL expenses out of those contract services that either come out of the jail side, the roadside, or both, depending on which side of the building that they're on.
Yeah, and I
So
think
those
what-
aren't recurring at all.
Well, you've come in and made statements that, you know, you've sent us pictures, it's, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix this,
Right.
right? We didn't formally come in here on every one of
Right.
those things and improve it, so I get that. But then when you have in time and the sheriff app, you know, there's 13,000 new money that's gonna come in, you know, so I wanna know that kind of stuff. And so I, with Commissioner Kirchner saying is, I agree with you with the fact that, you know, I just, it's confusing to me, Sheriff, so, and if Stacy can't present it in a format that I understand it, then I'm never gonna understand it, so
So,
where are
I
we
just
at?
ran out of time.
Yeah, so I think that's where we're at. I think you and her are beginning to, you got a good relationship, right?
Yes, yeah,
You and her are
absolutely.
getting a good understanding. We're trying not to handcuff you if.
No, I
to
get
be
it.
To be, what's that called, where you know, be worried about it, but,
That's
so I
not
think
me.
you're getting what you need.
I think that means your time's up.
yeah.
But I think, I agree, I think I wanna put all this, I want you to sit down and explain this to me. And then
Okay.
if there's a disconnect with the sheriff's, he's titling something that's not in the right place as far as you're concerned or whatever. we can work
I
that
want to be
out,
as
right?
transparent as possible.
Yeah.
You know,
I-
and some of the things are like, that are coming out of the service on the roadside that's never been done before. So when we hire employees, whether it's the jail, dispatcher, or on the roadside, civilians or whatever, I'm now requiring them, what should have been done, you know, because this is the standard, you know, that they get a drug test, that they get a physical, that they get a psychological, that they get a polygraph. And those are things standard-wide that need to be done so that you ensure that the employee that you're hiring, you know, isn't on drugs, that they're physically able to do the job unless there's exceptions to whatever job you're hiring them for. I'm getting reimbursed for some of that, but it's not going back in my budget line, it's gonna go to the general fund. Corsa reimburses the psychological and the polygraph, which are the biggest expenses that I have. But that wasn't budgeted for this year. So I've got well into the 20,000s in those
You
money.
fronted the money. that's
Right,
coming
and,
back.
Corsa will be reimbursing that and I think it's quarterly, I'm not sure, because we haven't done, I don't even know if we've done the first reimbursement yet, have we?
I
So you'll see that on that side, so it's a trade-off on that, but it was money not budgeted that's spent out of the account of the services line that, yeah, these are gonna be recurring expenses, but I'm gonna get fully reimbursed for both of those items.
That's on the
$200 for
jail
a
side?
polygraph.
Jail side, not the road side?
Both sides, yeah. And then the other side, the psychologicals are like $695, you know, but it has insured, it hasn't increased are the ones that we have hired. All I'm getting is positive feedback on that, we're hiring better employees, you know, that are going through that process and stuff, because you can weed out the ones that have some issues with the job that they're specifically applying for, you know, and then, you know, all the mechanical stuff, just training, on the training side, the money that's budgeted there, so we have dispatcher training that they need to be certified every year. Well, there's no money put into the training line on the roadside, but yet those are $195 apiece times 6. You know, if they're not certified every year in that, then they're technically not allowed to dispatch emergency services. You know, and we can get violations through the state on that stuff. So these are things that I guess when I sit down with Stacy and you at the budget, are gonna be included in the next year. Like the training one's gonna be a recurring one. But the service line can probably go back to the way that it was because we've done our one-time purchase out of it. We're gonna get reimbursements. I'll be able to show all that and be transparent in that.
So, I think
Go
the
ahead.
reason, in summary, I mean, not summary, but my concern is from much higher view, is that I kind of did some projections looking at officer costs, both on the road and in the prisons. And it looks to me, at this point, without understanding what the ICE income's gonna be exactly, and any other income you might be able to generate from the jail side, we are looking at somewhere near $1 million in additional money for operating next year than we had for this year. Okay. That's a extremely large percentage. So the question is, are we gonna be able to get from Budget Commission another $1 million certified? And if we are we gonna be allowed to spend all that money on safety services as opposed to taking part of that money and giving it to the auditor or the clerk or the treasurer, whatever request they may have? So it's a fiscal concern from a higher view from my standpoint, that if the sheriff's budget is going to increase by $1 million next year, number one, are we gonna get that amount certified? Because what we do today will affect what happens in 2022. And number two, even if we do get it certified, would all that money be available for safety services? So that's the struggle from a bigger picture standpoint that we're having, or at least that I'm having here.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Or at least give my 2 cents on that? It's, to me, boils down to pay me now, pay me later thing. So this should have been probably introduced to you by the previous sheriff and the sheriff before that. I look at now 8 months in, the services that we're providing and the building, you know, the whole 1,000-foot view that you're talking about, and see the need for those to have been addressed probably 10 years ago, at least a decade ago. So in my mind, the county, the budget committee, they've saved that money over that 10-year period by not providing the services that should have been provided over the last decade. You know, the manpower out on the road. We wouldn't probably have some of the mechanical issues of the cars because they wouldn't be up so high mileage-wise, because they're not racing from Bloomville to Bettsville and Flat Rock to New Riegel 2 times the shift sometimes when there's only 2 people working. Same with on the dispatchers, you know, side of it. We were at 7 dispatchers, which was a requirement of the PSAPs and stuff, and now somehow we got to 6 several years ago when one of them died, and they never replaced that. We should really be at 10 like Hancock County and the surrounding ones. I've done the comparables for you guys. I didn't think it was appropriate during this, you know, because we're not talking about personnel, and that's a separate talk that we can talk about on the surrounding sheriff's office on the road side that you asked me to do, Tony. And it shows the road deputies and the detectives and the dispatchers and stuff, so I can present that at another time. But my point is that these are items that are not wants, you know, they're needs, and they needed to be addressed by previous administrations, and they weren't. I'm the guy that gets to say, you know, here's what we actually need to provide those services, just like you're talking about tonight at the EMS. How do we provide better services to all the county residents? That's what I'm trying to do when I'm giving you the bigger picture on these monetary items and the line items that are one-time, that are recurring, and the personnel that are needed to do that. And the last thing I'll say is that, you know, one of the things I had my job at Tiffin, at the police department, is to get the council, the mayor, and the city administrator to understand that criminal justice, law enforcement is not a money-making venture. So it's not a, well, if you make this much money, then we can put this much money back into you. I know that ICE brings in a lot of money, and I'm trying to do that. Actually, we're staying pretty steady at the 35. Our new numbers last night, we have 38 now. And we were at 14, so now, you know, this has been consistent since I came in here last time, and I got the doubled it up to 34 that we had. So we're consistently bringing in the money there. Again, no guarantees on how long that's going to last. However, my job is to present to you, this is what's needed to provide adequate services throughout the whole county, and whether it's vehicle or personnel or maintenance or preventative maintenance. And I understand that your job is to rein all of us in to make sure that we're getting their bang for the buck for the citizens. So I understand all the roles in there. I just wanted to let you know that this should have been done a decade ago, and it hasn't. So going forward,
I used the term today, it's a little fiscal fatigue.
Yes.
Because what's going on is that we've got, you know, probate coming at us because we may have to fund all that. DJFS is always out there that we're concerned about. Countywide ambulance service is something that we know we're gonna have to put some more money in. So, and these are all recurring
Yep.
budget items. So we're looking at it from a
Yes.
bigger picture. We've always said safety services is a priority, and we'll continue that as this group is on the commission. But in this particular case, are there any, we talked about some of the things that maintenance was going to reimburse for. Are there anything?
Yeah, because I think initially some of those JL, I think we talked about you were gonna send up and John could pay off of his purchase order. Do you
Okay.
know if those, or do I need to get with Diane to see if she
Yes.
paid those instead of?
Yeah.
So that would be it, that would have been out of a repair.
You don't know what, if any of these specifically might have been, though?
No, I don't have a breakdown. She sent me a list of the contracts, which is much higher than what we have in place, and I think some are missing, and I just have to ask some questions. I don't have the answers for these yet, so.
So how squeezed are you on some of these things that have to pay up?
Like the training, that's like immediate, needs to be done.
Is it gonna be 15,000 this year?
We have a lot of in-person training that's coming up. I haven't even scheduled yet because I don't know if I have the money in that. Yes.
It's just a shock to the system since we've never paid for training before.
I know.
I'm not sure if he used free training or.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where he pulled it. I'd have to go back through the things and I haven't had time to. But the road, when talking to the guys on the road, basically, other than firearms, which is mandated by the state, which he just paid through the overtime, you don't pay an instructor or anything, he has a reserve that did it, the previous sheriffs did it that way. And I'll do the same way, so there'll be overtime involved on getting everybody through. But when you bring in an instructor to do de-escalation or crisis intervention or, A-ride training for their new deputies that never had any of that stuff, which we've got half of, the training is, and I use the term loosely, is almost non-existent out there, on the jail side and on the road side, which is a huge liability for all of us in this room, taxpayers included, that are listening, and the commissioners and the county administrator, because lack of training is why we have the nationwide problem that we have right now, where you have the YouTube videos and the officers that are getting arrested and stuff, it's one of three things. It's lack of training, lack of supervision, and lack of accountability through evaluation purposes and stuff. I'm trying to do all of that at once, and it starts with having adequately trained deputies, jail people, dispatchers, and so it's a pay me now, pay me later thing. If you don't pay the $15,000 in training a year recurring, you could have a $150,000 lawsuit, $150 million lawsuit, a $1.5 million lawsuit down the road for a deputy that arrested somebody when they shouldn't have, or didn't read them their rights, and so now we have civil constitutional issues and stuff. So these are things that they get in the academy, but then, there's finer points that you learn when you have an instructor come in, and that's constitutional issues or handcuffing techniques, and everything changes yearly in every profession. Certainly it does in the law enforcement profession and the jail side as well. So if you don't have these certificates, if you don't have these trainings in-house and out-of-house, when you bring instructors in, when you go to a lawsuit, it's hard to defend on our side for our attorneys to say, we're up on the current training. Look, here's all the certificates for the officers involved, or the jailers involved, or the dispatcher involved, or here's the whole department, the whole office is, we're 100% certified in this area or that area. I'm trying to get the grants for the body cams. That's another, issue that's going to have some recurring maintenance fees on that, on the software licenses. The grant will get us it initially, but then eventually, a few years down the road, you have to pay those maintenance on those issues. But again, it's another thing that we have nothing out there right now, no cruiser cams or anything documenting what's happening. And everybody knows right now what's going on. Anybody can claim anything and anybody can sue anybody for anything, but when you have a video and audio of what's going on, that's going to be helpful. So yes, training is, I get it, it's a shock to the system, never been paid before, but it should have been. It's another one of those things that should have been accounted for, and it wasn't.
I don't know if you can see the numbers real well, but in the green, that's the adjusted, all the adjusted numbers for the budget, and then the column beside it is where he's actually at. So in the repairs, the budgeted amount is 25,000, and there's been 24,000 spent, so he's almost out of money there. Contract services, 50,000 in there, and he's got 38,000 spent. So you can kind of see uniforms, 4,500, and there's 4,300 spent. So, yeah, I don't know if you can see it real well on the screen or not. I can print it if you need it.
Don't need it, but I
Print it.
Stacy, I can have Lex get with you on those other line items.
Okay.
On what she needs to pay out of those and what we
Okay.
need for an influx to cover those.
Okay.
Sheriff, to just jump back to the Commissioner's question, immediate needs. Do you have
Yes.
anything besides training,
Well, the training and travel.
besides everything
need to be
on here? I
filled.
mean, what are you really stressing about this today?
Well, the ones that are almost down to zero, those lines, if we could get something in those just to cover any, immediate needs that would pop up. Like I said yesterday, or not yesterday, Friday, I was made aware of the washing machine issue, and that's something that just popped up. So I asked him to look into, what the quotes were for the new ones, and I didn't know that they were 14 years old, So these are things I'm working on the side, and working on the hot button issues, is to get you a long-term plan to John and Stacy and stuff of, here's the maintenance items that are needed to make our jail function, and here's the age of them, here's what it's gonna cost to replace them, here's what it's costing us yearly to fix them. I don't know if we can wring another year out of the two machines that we have, and to get new ones commercially, the quotes that I got are pretty staggering. I didn't realize how much a commercial jail washing machine is, so.
And that may be the
But
ARP
Yeah,
expense.
when I sent that to Stacy, I said, I would think that, if anything, this should be covered out of that money, because it's cleaning their sheets
Yeah.
and bedding, their clothing, the towels, so it's a health and welfare issue, that should be covered for the COVID stuff, so.
So it looks like where the money is getting their zero is in uniforms, training, school, travel and expenses. That's $21,000 according to my calculation. If we can approve those today and then ask the sheriff to have a conversation with Stacy, get our questions answered, that we had a number of us done. We can move forward with that. Did we do the authorization for the satisfaction of the mortgage?
No.
Okay.
Which ones did you want me to?
Well, off the top of my head, because of the fact that they're near zero on what's appropriated and what's left, is uniforms, training, school, and travel and expenses, which would amount to $21,000.
And just as okay, so we're there, just as a clarification for me, if your washing machines blew up tomorrow, we have a process where he can get a new one in an emergency situation. He wouldn't have to, how would that work? Let's say he has no money in repairs. How do we do that?
Well, I mean,
It hasn't blown up.
No.
yeah,
Not
I know.
suggesting-
Normally,
I'm
there
just
should be
asking.
enough in contract repairs to cover.
That's why you need the cushion, I guess.
If it's over $1,000, then that's equipment.
You have to have a special meeting almost, right?
Well, I mean, it'd just be a court order situation. If it's an emergency, says, and he had it blow, I mean,
I see.
he would have to go get it replaced, come to us, ask for the money, and then it would be a court order that he would have to get through the judge because the money wasn't in place at the time.
I see.
So,
Got it. Okay, back to you. You want to
That's
summarize
right.
all that?
Well, those three items and the authorization for the board of commissioners to sign
I got
satisfaction.
one more too.
Mortgage.
So let me read
Get
these.
all what he read. The amounts, what's recorded, so.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to sign the satisfaction of mortgage for John and Beatrice Flood for satisfaction of their loan with Seneca County Commissioners for the work done through the Community Housing Improvement Program, CHIP program fiscal year 2011. Total payoff $8,180. And then I have a resolution to accept the material terms of the One Ohio subdivision settlement pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding and consistent with the terms of the July 21st, 2021 National Opiate Settlement Agreement. This is the opiate case that we entered into. Derek has reviewed these and highly recommend signing the settlement. You know, you got an update in executive session last week about this. There was no decision. Now they're asking for the settlement agreement.
Is there a dollar amount they're talking about for Seneca County?
No, they basically gave us a percentage. It's like a settlement with the big three, and I don't know which big three they were. Cardinal Health, McKesson, and Amerisource Virgin Corporation, and they narrowed it down to the offer is $829 million, 15% going to the state, 30% going to the subdivision, and 50% going to the foundation. And they've got in the documents I sent you that they sent, there's even a breakdown of the percentage, even though kind of small. Some of the villages and the townships will get a percentage of this. That's part of the breakdown of.
Stacy, the numbers I seen was 90 to 146,000 per subdivision or per.
Yeah, they said 300. It could be 394,000 with if they did the 70%.
But it would be over a period of time.
Yeah, 18 years.
Yeah. And this isn't over yet. I mean, then we got Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer.
There's
Yeah.
others, just,
A bunch of
Yeah,
It
others.
this
has
is
to
just
be used
the-
for specific
Yeah.
purposes.
So, yeah, they talked about it needs to be used for any abatement programs.
Yeah, did you guys get involved in that at all, do you know?
Yes, in fact, there'll be a special meeting of city council to do the same thing you're considering today.
Okay, got it.
And they need this back by the, is it the
August
13th?
13th, I guess.
13th, yep.
we're good with it. For those listening, this would be similar to the tobacco settlement kind of thing. And this is just opioid, distribution of opioids.
And that's all I have.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve uniforms, training, school, travel and expenses, authorization on the satisfaction of the mortgage, and a resolution for the Ohio subdivision settlement with the opiate case.
So moved.
Second?
Any additional discussion? Okay,
Commissioner Schiff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
yes. Okay, the time has come for public comment. Audrey, fancy meeting you here. You're up.
Flood report.
Yeah, that's cool.
Had good timing today. All right, just a couple of things from T-Sub today. For one, hopefully you all saw the big announcement on Monday about the spec building. So not my department, David and Nick's department there, but if you have any questions, there's a lot of information about it in the press release we put out on our website, but that's very exciting news, and we're really glad to have that happening. So check that out again on our website or Facebook. If you have questions, I will direct those to Nick about the spec building. The other thing was, there's a new survey out for businesses through the governor's office for workforce to help with in-demand jobs. So we put that on our website and Facebook as well, but help spread the word. Obviously, workforce is a really big problem for everyone right now, and this is a state survey that is trying to help get at that problem. So spread the word about that. And just another reminder this week about the business grants through the state that are still open. There's still money for Seneca County, and there's additional money for the larger kind of state pot in there as well. We have been having some luck hooking local businesses up with those applications. We have people that are applying, so that's great, but there's still funds in there for those 4 categories of business grants. So please let us know if there's anyone that you want help getting connected with that. Any questions for TSEP this week?
Yeah, are you putting together any special map to know how to get from the north side of Tiffin to the south or vice versa?
I'm going to direct that question to Dale.
We'll have a new map out in October.
I appreciate that. It's tough, man.
It is.
Construction.
Yes. All right, anything else for us? Thanks, guys.
Well, Sheriff, how do you even get here?
I had to wait. Good thing I left early because I was stopped in my own driveway getting out because they're paving that portion right now.
I got one thing, Mike. Bill
Yes.
Frankert, Adams Township. A little change. We have our August 10th meeting. Due to lack of interest in the meals, we're gonna have social out from 5:30 to 6:30. No meal. It'll just be a meeting. And if you guys want drinks ahead of time or during a meeting, that's okay. But not too many people RSVP for the meal, so it'll just be strictly a meeting and drinks, whatever on that part.
Where's that being held?
That's gonna be held at the front 9, the golf course around Betsville.
Betsville, okay.
We might want to consider.
That's your bags, that's good food out there.
Yes, what's that?
We might want to
Buy our own.
consider bringing some food in and get us here.
You can, I mean,
It's,
I think
Bill,
it's
Bill, just, will you be able to order off the menu if you wish?
I don't know how they want to work that part of it. I got to call into them to see. Originally, she says, with having 60 people there, it's a lot tougher for them to do that. And that's why they just want to put together like a buffet type
Right.
situation. I talked to her a little bit yesterday, and she's good either way, whatever we want to do. But I talked to Roger Holman this morning, and like I said, we got less than 20 that even RSVP. So there could be some situation. Maybe they'll work with us. Depends how many people show up. And even after the meeting, I mean, they're open till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So even after the meeting, I mean, the meeting lasts an hour. So people can hang out there and do something with them. So.
Okay.
OSU Extension.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you guys so much for all of your support for Seneca County Fair. A lot of our staff are recovering, restocking, all of that good stuff. Keep in mind though, Attica Fair is coming up as well, so any businesses that want to support their premium sale, that'll be on Saturday, August 14th. So that's a wonderful, good community fair that we have as well. So get out there, it's a good time. Farm Science Review will be coming up here in September, so we're shifting some gears, planning for those activities. But things are the calm after the storm right now, a little bit. We also have State Fair going on, so we're helping out with some programs and projects down there in Columbus. So bit of traveling this week.
Previous commissioner and other, 2 weekends or 2 meetings in a row.
I have nothing other than have a great day.
Good.
You want to see if there's anyone on Zoom?
Yeah, please.
Ben, do you want to tell them about
If you want to, yeah, go ahead.
Ben, do you want to tell them about the idea that you had to collaborate with the
Oh,
Clean Sweep?
yeah, absolutely. Ben Nutter with Sunny Farms Landfill, Wind Waste Innovations. Commissioner Schuff put together a clean sweep program for all the villages around the county, and I thought that was a great idea, and I was really excited about that. And so I offered to the commissioner that maybe we can even expand it a little by Wind Waste Innovations providing some roll-off containers, and people can do, like a drop-off during that time, and we donate the transportation and disposal of that, because it serves a couple purposes. One, it cleans up, and a lot of times people don't understand what can they do with the chair or the couch or whatever, and sometimes it even ends up in places we don't want it. So hopefully that would eliminate some of that as well. And so I'm going to reach out to the next community. There's a local hauler right there. I'm going to reach out to them and get back with Commissioner Schuff and hopefully be able to get that set up for Tuesday.
That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. And again, I applaud Commissioner Schuff. I'm sure you guys are all involved in it. I think that's a great program. Great program.
Cool. If you're on Zoom right now and you want to come forward, this is your chance.
Hearing nothing, 10:54, we are adjourned.